Alright, Mate, we've set the tone with that dominant 6-1 win in the first leg. What a statement. The Let's played with energy, confidence, and a ruthless edge in front of goal. But we're not done yet. This is the playoffs, and we can't afford to get complacent. New England will come out swinging, desperate to stay alive, but we control our own fate. Stick to our game, stay aggressive, and finish the job. We've been building for these moments all season, and now it's about proving why we're the best. One more big performance, and we're on to the next round. Let's go and make it happen.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 82 of Red Bull KloppBot here on Sean Does FM with the New York Red Bulls. I hope you're doing well, and coming up today we start our final playoff series here in the MLS Cup for the Save in 2030, and we've got Blimmin' John Herdman and the New England Revolution. So fingers crossed here we can make our way past these guys. Just need one win in the final two games of this series. But yesterday we wrapped up what was supposed to be Cup Week a little bit early in the US Open Cup. If you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over from the top right corner off the back of that earlier than expected defeat in the Leagues Cup to Atlas Guadalajara. Thankfully bounced back with a 4-0 win over Charlotte FC in the semi-finals, and then a 5-0 win over Colorado Springs from the USL in the final of that. So we win that cup for back-to-back years. Off the back of that, just the 3 more games to play to finish off our MLS season. First up, we used a bit of a rotated team when we took on Real Salt Lake, that one at home, but thankfully all our last 3 games were against teams who weren't really in a position to be making the playoffs. So to be fair, 3 games, you'd expect us to win. If we did that, we would pick up the Supporters Shield, and thankfully that's exactly what we did. First up there, a 2-1 win over Real Salt Lake. Goals there just either side of half-time to William and Robertson, a late penalty there to Goncalves. Thankfully didn't prove too costly, and then we picked up a 5-0 win a week later over the Vancouver Whitecaps. Molina there with a hat-trick. Castillo and Pirani also picking up some late goals off the back of a Vargas red card, which did lead to that Pirani penalty, but that result did mean we wrapped up the Supporters Shield with 1 game in hand. So it does mean, as well as winning the US Open Cup for back-to-back seasons, we have picked up the Supporters Shield, and off the back of that we then played Toronto in our final league game. But so far in the Save, as I've said now a few times, the Canadian teams aren't much chop. Same case here, we picked up a 4-0 win, William with a double, and Sane and Pirani also chipping in with goals. So that does mean that in terms of how things finished in the MLS in terms of each conference, we finished on top of the East by 14 points over New York City. In the end, it was the New England Revolution and Cincinnati who had to play each other in a wild card game. Obviously, New England did win that one, seeing as we're about to play them in the second leg of this first round clash. And going down the Western Conference, Portland just beat Dallas to win that one, but it was 9 points behind us, so quite a comfy win for us there in terms of the Supporters Shield. As it turned out, only needed 1 win from those last 3. We couldn't drop the other 2 because then they would have had more wins than us, and they would have picked up over us because of that, instead of the goal differential, which in most leagues is how things do get worked out. But there's a quick look at the Supporters Shield table. In the end, a pretty comfy win for us there for the second year in a row. But now I've made our way through to the playoffs. A quick update on what did happen in those wildcard games. New England 2-0 over Cincinnati, and over in the West, in the wildcard game there, LAFC did get rid of the Seattle Sounders. So in terms of what's going on currently in the first round over in the West, there's who's won the first leg, but of course it is a best-of-3 series. And going back to what happened in the first round of this Eastern Conference, we picked up a very, very comfortable 6-1 win over the Revolution. So to be fair, our confidence is quite high going into this second leg, even though it is away from home. Also New York City there with a win on penalties. DC United just get past Atlanta, and the Chicago Fire with a big 4-0 win away from home over Orlando City. So it looks like currently us in Chicago look pretty good here to make our way through, hopefully with a game in hand, albeit actually we did have an extra week off back of that last game that we did play in the MLS League season. For some reason, we didn't actually play a game there on decision day, which was a bit weird. You can see there that game against Toronto was 21 days ago, then 7 days ago before we took on New England. So for some reason there, not too sure why, considering the only competition we didn't go deep in was the Leagues Cup. Of course, did also pick up the CONCACAF Champions League at the start of this season, but for some reason we finished ours a bit earlier than most teams did, which did seem a little bit weird, but thankfully that was the case, because if you go and have a look at the medical centre, and over on the right hand side you'll see we've had 5 players recently returned from injury that extra week has proven really useful. Unsane has just made his way back in time for that first leg. He's definitely fit enough to start here. The second leg is our new first choice keeper that we did sign during the course of yesterday's episode to replace the departing Bemba Koulibaly, with that release clause being triggered, which, to be fair, wasn't the worst thing off the back of the couple of performances that he put out leading in to that episode. And going down further, Wisden Ami has just come back from a sports hernia, Gabriel Pirani from a tight groin, Jesse Joyce from a twisted ankle, and Joe Apples from a tight calf. So a couple of really important players there that we did get back just in time for those playoffs starting off the back of that extra week off that we did have, thankfully. But unfortunately, we've still got one player out, and he's quite a big one, Facundo Molina, with a lower back stress fracture, still out for a further 2 to 3 weeks. So it does mean he probably won't be available until we make our way through potentially to the next round, the semi-finals of the Eastern Conference, because last year there was an international break or something off the back of Game 3 in each of these series. So to be fair, hopefully he's going to be back when we get into the next round of the playoffs. But Molina has been in great form ever since he's come here to the New York Red Bulls. Unfortunately, not available currently, but thankfully did sign Hugo Castillo going into the start of this season, and he is a very able backup. So fingers crossed that he can get the job done while Molina is out with that injury. But it does mean that the second league we're about to play is away from home. We've already done the hotspots here for New England, so I do think that means if we make our way all the way through the rest of the playoffs, no more away days. So I think the KloppBot's hotspots, that segment now officially did. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that last one back in Guadalajara, but very familiar here with this Revolution team, having taken them on in the quarterfinals of the League's Cup just earlier this week. John Herdman, that 5-3-2, very tricky, and of course knocked us out at this stage a couple of seasons ago with Columbus, and also last year in the quarterfinals. So far he's put a dent to our title ambitions, our cup ambitions anyway here, with this New York Red Bulls team. Their captain is Munoz, their vice captain Fabinho, their key player Kramashi, all very similar to earlier this week when we bet them in that League's Cup, albeit, unfortunately, we did lose our next game. But fingers crossed here, we can back up that good performance, that 6-1 win we did pick up there in our home league, and make sure we make our way through to the Eastern Conference semi-finals with a game in hand. And here are the team sheets here for the second leg of this first round clash in the Eastern Conference there. New England going with that absolutely horrific formation, but to be fair, Herdman has done quite well with it. But off the back of a 6-1 win, hopefully can beat them similarly here, even at Gillette Stadium. A couple of changes to our usual best 11. More comes in for Emmy, only commended for 45 minutes, still coming back from that injury, and obviously Castillo up front in place of the injured Molina. But fingers crossed we can pick up a win and go through with that game in hand. And the first proper highlight of this game comes just past the 10-minute mark. There was a highlight before to New England, but it was an offside chance, and their striker did miss it anyway. But thankfully, we get on the attack nice and early here from this one. Zenta, nice ball, far post there for Sam, but unfortunately, that chance comes off the Warwick. Now, William will try and play that one back into the mix, but unfortunately, a loose touch from him does bring an end to that highlight. But Curry for them picks up a yellow card. Quite a good player, actually. Came through, I believe, one of the LA clubs in the saves. Interesting to see that New England must have done a trade for him, because he definitely did not get released there by one of those LA clubs. But so far, we've been on the front foot now. A free kick here to Leroy Sané just past the half-hour mark, but unfortunately, a good save there from the Revolution goalkeeper. But now a chance for us here from set piece. Pirani off the back of a double in the first league. We'll float that one far post. Unfortunately, Fabinho here with a chance to get the Revolution going on the counter-attack. Lopez Munoz makes his way into our half, plays it back there to Fabinho on a yellow card, but thankfully a really poor pass from him. We can break things up. 10 minutes left in the first half, well and truly on the front foot, but still scoreless. And it looks like that might do it for the first half in this game, and indeed that's the case. To be fair, we're playing quite well. New England yet to have a single shot in this game, and also they've picked up a couple of yellow cards. So fingers crossed that means they might take off Fabinho and Bakary, two I'd say of their better players. But so far, we're doing well. Just potentially need to be a bit better in front of goal. Maybe Castillo not quite as efficient as someone like Molina usually would be, but doing pretty well as long as we keep it up in the second half. You'd imagine we can pick up a win and make our way through. And we don't have to wait long all here for the first highlight here of the second half. It is New England 2 with a throw-in inside the final third. Some good short passing. Fabinho still on the field there. Switches that one out to Hutchinson. Thankfully, they look there for Munoz. We can break up, and now a chance for us here to do something on the counter-attack. Cesar plays that one back there to Moore. We try and get something going here down our right-hand side. Sane now finds himself in a fair bit of space. Does take on a long shot, but unfortunately, that one goes straight into the path of the goalkeeper. But now, hopefully, going to get on the front foot here in the second half and actually score a goal, unlike the first, because that definitely was the problem. That's a terrible back pass, that one, though. I think that was from Sam, and somehow the Gallagher does get in behind. He beats the Insane in goal, and with what might be their first shot of the game, they make it 1-0. New England might be about to FM us here and actually take this to a game 3. Even if it's a draw, this will go to a penalty shootout, which does seem a bit silly considering we bet them 6-1 in the first league. But unfortunately, a poor giveaway there. Pretty sure it was Sam down our left-hand side, and from there, our defence a little bit at 6s and 7s. Zenta there does play their striker and Gallego onside. We go 1-0 down with their first shot of the game. And going for just shy of the hour mark now, I think it's time for us here to make some subs. Sam's having a shocker out there on a 6.3, and also Moore going a bit fairly on a 6.5. So Ami and Birchmas, they can come on two of our better players from last season, especially Birchmas and Ami coming back from that injury. Fingers crossed he can make a difference, but unfortunately, we're still 1-0 down. And going forward about 10 minutes off those subs that we did make, now as a throw for us here inside the final third. Pirani does start to cut inside a block shot, and now New England do keep the ball off that clearance. All of a sudden, they're starting to do some stuff in this game. A bit concerning. We really did need a goal in that first hour or so when we were on the front foot, but thankfully, we do win that ball back, albeit Zenta they're looking for Birchamus. They don't link up very well, which is interesting considering how much those two did play together here last season. Now, Gallego played that ball back for Fabinho. Some lovely short passing. Gallego picks up a double, and he might have stayed onside. Fingers crossed there he was off, because otherwise we're in all sorts of trouble. But they're celebrating, and we're 2-0 down. So somehow here in New England have turned around that thrashing we've given them in the first league. Interesting dive that from Insane, but to be fair, some nice short passing outside the box. Not looking too good here. Down our left-hand side, Zenta is on quite a good rating, a green one. But to be fair, he's kind of been at fault for both the goals here that we have conceded coming down our left-hand side. But now we're in trouble. We're 2-0 behind. Fingers crossed here we can grab an equaliser from this highlight. Zanotti with a long-range effort that goes over the top left corner. Only 20 minutes left, and we're 2-0 down. So this actually might be going to a game 3. A poor giveaway though there from New England. But then we lose it briefly on the edge of the box. Pirani with a first-time finish. That one also goes high and wide. But now we're certainly starting to wake up a bit more here that we're 2 goals down. If only this happened off the back of conceding that first one. But unfortunately, just a bit sloppy there for 10 or so minutes. And now Gallego does get in behind, potentially scores a hat-trick. But to be fair, that time, he definitely looked like he was offside. So fingers crossed this one does get ruled out. Otherwise, we're in all sorts of trouble. It does get disallowed. So thankfully, it's still only 2-0. But off the back of that, we're going to take off Leroy Sané on a 6.4 for Jimenez. We've still got 2 more subs that we can make. Insane having his worst game so far here at the Red Bulls, but no goalkeeper on the bench. We've got some players that we could bring on. We might try Brian Green for Castillo, just going a bit fairly on a 6.6. And Pirani also not having the best day out there. So Edelman can come on for him. We'll give those guys a rest while we can here, while they're not doing too well, because certainly they've been some of our better performances during the course of the season. Thankfully, Tickfitch there does just come out of line enough to put the Gallego offside. But as we're about to make our way to the final 15 minutes of this game, we are still 2-0 down. I was just thinking there about going attacking, but a highlight has started. New England, though, are on the ball, try and get something going here down their right-hand side. Thankfully, a poor pass does mean that Caesar can make an interception. A quick sweeping counter-attack from us here too, as Jimenez makes his way inside the box. Tries to square that one. There might, though, be a push on Brian Green. There's a chance here for us potentially from the penalty spot. Beefy now taken off Sane. It might be Julio Caesar that has to take the penalty. He's pretty bad at penalties, but somehow a best taker. So hopefully he can put this one away. And thankfully he does. Sends the goalkeeper the wrong way off the back of him pushing. Brian Green over inside the box from that ball that Jimenez did play in. So thankfully some of our subs here have made an impact. With only 10 minutes left, we make it 2-1. And going forward only a few minutes off that previous highlight, and that penalty we did score, just a chance there for me to catch my breath. But unfortunately, New England from this highlight are on the ball. But Wisden Ami comes out of line, a good interception there, coming back from injury there. We try and play that one into the mix. And New England clear their lines, but thankfully not too well. Emmy again will get us back on the ball. Some good play up to William, and Brian Green, a big impact off the bench. He earned us that penalty, which Caesar put away, and now we'll sweep that ball home from William. We make it 2-2 with still 4 minutes left here before this one. We'll go to a penalty shootout. Fingers crossed we maybe can grab a third goal and absolutely rob New England here of what they would have thought would be a pretty big win to take this one to a game 3. As I said earlier, unfortunately, even if this is a draw, we still need to have the penalty shootout. Despite that 6-1 win we did pick up in the first leg, it does seem a little bit unfair that if New England beat us on penalties, they get a win which matches our 1-6 goals to 1, an absolute thrashing. But now here we're waiting for a New England player to go off the field. We have just put for an encourage. We'll just wait and see if this corner will still take place. Hopefully it does, with the amount of time we're waiting here to see this highlight, as now Gallego makes his way off the field. I think that might be Fabinho, who's about to take this one, or someone else who is sitting on a yellow card. And after all that, the highlight does get cut out. So great work there from FM with us on key highlights. But unfortunately, this one is going to a penalty shootout. To be fair, considering the situation we're in, that's not too bad. But a chance here for New England to take this to a game 3. Hopefully, though, we can pick up a win on pens and clean sweep them. Now, I've sorted out the penalty order here for the shootout that we're about to have. Most of it does make sense considering the finishing, composure, and penalty rating for our team. To be fair, you did think that both Brian Green and Berchamus maybe should sneak their way above Herdman and Jimenez, but they're very, very bad at penalties, despite the fact they're actually quite good at finishing and composure. So really, between 4th and 7th, the only areas I had a little bit of doubt in terms of the order we should put these guys in, but fingers crossed here we can pick up a win. We'll just tell the guys here in a nice calm manner that we back them to get the job done here. Stay calm and you'll be fine. But then get the fist going. We have faith in the boys. That usually does work quite a bit here in FM24, which at this stage we are quite familiar with as a video game for obvious reasons, but vertical scrolling here so we can see this penalty shootout. First up, it is New England at home through Lopez Munoz. Hopefully he waits there for Insane to get between the sticks. He just did in time, and that penalty does get put away, but Insane there might not have been set. But hopefully Julio Caesar can score his second penalty of the game. He's been a bit suspect in previous shootouts for us, but thankfully does put that one away, despite the fact that Goncalves did go the right way. In fact, Goncalves, someone else there in that team. But then Martinez puts that one past Insane, who did go the right way. So a couple of close calls there from those penalties we did just see. Now Aaron Zenta steps up and thankfully sends Gonzalez the wrong way to make it 2 also. So far, pretty good penalties here from both teams. Next up here, Hasbavi for New England goes straight in the middle of Insane. Nearly stayed there, but a late dive does mean he doesn't quite save that one. They make it 3-2, but William now with a chance to keep things level. It's a wonderful penalty from our star DP, puts that one top right corner to keep it at 3 also. It looks like here the first save almost might be quite important. Garcia almost misses that one. It goes in off, and somehow it just sneaks its way over the line. Took a few off of that one to actually miss the target, and then Herdman gets his effort saved from Gonzalez. So that does mean that if New England put this next penalty away, we are going to a game 3, which off the back of a 6-1 win previously is a bit of a turnaround. I'm a bit worried about that considering the history of John Herdman teams and us in knockout games. In this save, Insane doesn't move though from that Kremashi penalty because it comes off the woodwork, and this time doesn't sneak its way over the line. So a chance for us here to extend this penalty shootout, and it will be through one of those players that we put up higher than some with better finishing, which I'm now regretting. It's going to be Jimenez, the replacement for Leroy Sané. Gonzalez goes the right way to be looking a lot more like a save than Insane is so far, but thankfully puts that one away, and now we're in sudden death. Up here is a player for New England. Insane goes the right way, but can't make a save. So now we have to score to keep this alive as Gonzalez does start to make his way in between the posts ever so slowly. This penalty shootout now will probably start to take an absolute age, but Brian Green, brilliant off the bench for us so far. In this game, he sends Gonzalez the wrong way and puts that one away, and we still go here as it is 5-all after 6 takers. Hutchinson on a yellow card now will send Insane the wrong way and make it 6-5. So yet again, we have to score with this next penalty, and we get the slow walk of doom here coming up, and this time it will be Berchamus who we probably could have switched there with Edelman, and this might be all over and we'd be through to the next round of these playoffs. But thankfully, despite the fact that that one was straight down the middle, it goes through the hands somehow there of Gonzalez and makes it 6-all off the back of that. A good chance there, it looked like, for Unsane to save that one from Herries, but he's having a shocker. They make it 7-6 to Beefy. A couple of efforts there where the goalkeepers probably should have made saves to Beefy. The one before that went through the hands of Gonzalez might make up for the post effort, but then that Insane one, I'm not too sure. So Noddy steps up nicely there to make it 7-all and keep this one going so far. Just one miss from each team. Next up here is Pagalo for New England. Puts that one away. Insane really looking quite unathletic, which to be fair, you might expect off the back of an injury, and also he's 36 years old, so maybe not moving as well in shootouts as he used to. But Antonio Tikvich will step up and try and keep the shootout going. At this point, I really hope we win this, because a long shootout, just the one more game, would be a bit frustrating, but thankfully he puts that one away. Next up, it's Bakari, one of their big signings here for New England, or trades I should say. Unfortunately, Insane kind of goes the wrong way, doesn't quite get that one, which was pretty close to straight down the middle. And now, with the 10th penalty taker for us, I think it might be Wisdom Ami who steps up. Indeed, it's the case. And off the back of this, it will go to the goalkeepers. Ami, thankfully, sends the goalkeeper the wrong way. And now, Gonzalez versus Insane. Hopefully, he finally comes up with a save here. But to be fair, it's a pretty damn good penalty from Gonzalez. And Insane, not having the greatest shootout so far, kind of giving me Keeper vibes from back in the Carabao Cup a couple of seasons ago when Chelsea took on Liverpool. Let's hope Insane can actually score this one. Thankfully, also sends their goalkeeper the wrong way. So now we go all the way back to the start through Lopez Munoz here for New England. Let's see if Insane can finally make a save. No, he can't, unfortunately. That penny put away doesn't give him too much confidence. And next up for us, Julio Cesar for the third time in this game, which is actually a little bit concerning. Before this game, hadn't been that good at penalties, so fingers crossed here he can hold his nerve. Thankfully he does, and sends Gonzalez the wrong way. It's 11-all, and we're up to the 12th taker. It's Martinez here for New England. Surely Insane can come up with a save. No, he's been useless so far in the shootout, and it does mean that Aaron Zenta needs to score this one to keep this going. But at this point, really, it's just dragging on a little bit for a game we should be going through anyway off the back of that 6-1 win in the first league. But New England make it 1-all off the back there of a very, very long penalty shootout. Somehow, that penalty shootout win cancels out our 6-1 win from the first league, and we're going to a game 3 as we lose that one away from home on penalties to Blimmin' John Herdman, and the Revolution will come back shortly and hopefully finish these guys off inside 90 minutes back at the Red Bull Arena. And we're back for the third leg here of this series in the first round of the playoffs. Hopefully can actually pick up a win here over the Revolution. Just one change from that first leg. Wisdom Ami can now play 90 minutes. He comes back in there for Colomore, but apart from that, the same team that did lose that shootout, but also did win 6-1 in the previous game here. New England looked pretty similar to that first leg, but fingers crossed here. This time, a bit more clinical in front of goal, can beat them inside 90 minutes and make our way through to the semi-finals. And just past the 15-minute mark at the first highlight here of this game, it's a free kick in our favour. William there will find Tikvich, but unfortunately, he puts that one over the bar. You can see the stats so far in this game. Definitely a team on the front foot, but of course, that was also the case in the second leg. We didn't score until really late to take that one to a shootout. Good chance there for William at the far post. I say good, not actually it was a chance, but unfortunately, it comes off a little bit. But a couple for us now so far in this game through headers, but unfortunately, just not quite able to hit the target. It's still 0-all, but so far we're definitely on the front foot. Let's hope it continues here from this throw-in, which we do have. Zenta plays that one there for Sane, good one too. And now Castillo is in behind, but unfortunately the assistant referee did put their flag up. So I think unfortunately our Peruvian striker just straight offside a little bit. Unfortunately, that is the case with our first big chance so far here in this game. We don't quite take a nice ball there from, I think that might have been Zenta, but unfortunately Castillo, a good couple of metres offside, does mean that it's still 0-0, but so far the Revolution up to absolutely nothing. Fingers crossed that this time we make the most of it and do score a goal. We float a ball here, far post, and take pitch. This time, second time of asking, we'll put that one away, and we take a deserved 1-0 lead at the half-hour mark. So fingers crossed here that we've taken a lead. We can put these guys to bed and make our way through to the semi-finals in this Eastern Conference. Finally, knock out a John Herdman team in the playoffs here in this MLS Cup. A 1-0 lead, just past the half-hour mark, but not so fast. There's a free kick. Only a few minutes later, might be a chance for us here, though, to make it 2-0, because still New England not up too much, albeit this time got a chance to put some pressure on us, but thankfully Unsane, a good quick pass does mean we can get back on the attack. Thankfully Pirani, bit of a loose pass, but gets that ball back thankfully, and now William makes his way into the final third, squares that one for Castillo. That's a wonderful save there from that header, so we're still only 1-0 in front. And just making my way into the last 5 minutes here of this first half, it continues to be pretty much one-way traffic. New England this time have got a few shots off in that first half, but overall it's been a really good first half from us. We potentially could have made it 2-0 with that late chance there to Castillo and the couple that we did get before that tick-fish goal at the half-hour mark. But to be fair, pretty happy with a lead off the back of that game that we just played at Gillette Stadium. No changes needed, because we are playing quite well in front of our home fans here. So fingers crossed that continues in the second half and grab a cushion goal and put these guys away. But so far in the second half, not many highlights. But there's a corner to New England, so fingers crossed here they don't do something similar to what they did in that second leg and get on the front foot in this half. A good foot in there from Sam, but unfortunately New England do keep hold of that ball. They play it back there though to Bicalo down the left-hand side. Let's see what he can do, but so far we're doing quite well, shifting them backwards here with our defence. Hutchinson now makes his way back towards halfway, although here is a lovely square there for Lopez Munoz, who thankfully misses a sitter, and we're still 1-0 in front. And just short of the hour mark, it's going to be a free kick here for New England, but before that hopefully takes place, Pirani's just picked up a yellow card, and Sam's struggling on a 6.4, so it's going to be here Berchamis and Edelman coming on with our first couple of subs of this game. To be fair, most of the players out there doing a decent enough job. Unfortunately, we still see the free kick. An interesting one. It looked like that one might have come off the post, and then that one's a corner. It might have taken a deflection off a defender or a save there from Insane Beefy. Quite hard to tell from the angle that we did see, but thankfully we deal with that danger there at the near post from that set piece and still hold on to our 1-0 lead. But a few minutes later here, a goal kick to New England. They'll try and make their way out from back. Here it is. We'll play that one for there. But a good tackle from Edelman does mean we should get a good chance here. Thankfully, Berchamis just keeps that ball from a tackle, squares it for Castillo, who will finally score in this game and make it 2-0 to be fair. He definitely should have scored a goal as well in that previous one away from home. But thankfully, it's a cushion goal for us. And hopefully, this will just bury those demons from that long penalty shootout that we did have there at the Gillette Stadium. We make it 2-0 with just under a half hour left in game 3. And only a few minutes off back of that second goal now, we've got a free kick here. Tikvich goes far post. It goes very close, but unfortunately, that one comes off the woodwork as he goes looking for a double. But now well and truly on the front foot here in this third game. Zenta gets that ball from the throw and plays it back to Berchamis, who floats that one far post for William, who will put that one away. His 19th goal of the season, I think that said it was. That makes it 3-0. It should absolutely put the nail in New England's coffin and make sure that penalty shootout win doesn't mean a heck of a lot, but annoying that it even got to that stage off the back of how good we were in the first league. But thankfully, we're looking pretty close to unbeatable here so far at the Red Bull Arena in recent games. That makes it 3-0. We're about to make our way to the last 15 minutes of this game. So with that in mind, might be a good time for us here to make our last couple of subs. William, off the back of that goal, does drop down to a red hut. Zal can come on for him. Brian Green will bring on for Castillo. Did quite well today, but of course that striker injury to Molina does mean that might not be the worst idea. And also Jimenez there for Sane, because obviously he's old and injury prone. But thankfully it looks like Leroy Sané's career is going to continue for a little while longer as we're still 3-0 in front, albeit now New England here with a chance from a corner. To be fair, that was quite a decent one. For some reason they left Lopez Munoz in a fair bit of space, but thankfully he puts that one just wide. To be fair, he's had a couple of really good chances in this game, but hasn't taken them like he did in that second leg that we did see at Gillette Stadium. So we hold on here to a 3-0 lead. A late highlight here, but at this stage, I think we're pretty safely going through to the semi-finals of this Eastern Conference. Actually, worth noting that all the ties here in the Eastern Conference did end up going to a game 3, so no one's going to get an advantage going into the semi-finals. In that regard, New England again on the attack, but again, they miss a decent chance there from close range, but thankfully, we keep a clean sheet. They definitely had more chances in that game than they did in the previous one, where they somehow scored 2 goals, but thankfully, we bounced back from that penalty defeat and beat them 3-0. So overall, that was an 11-3 win that we picked up there on aggregate, I think it was, over New England over those 3 games. So we definitely deserve to go through, but it's 2-1 because MLS rules. Orlando, they knock out Chicago. Quite good effort there considering they lost that first leg 4-0. New York City just do enough, get past into Miami and Atlanta. They knock out DC United. We're going to be taking on one of City, Atlanta, or Orlando in the semi-finals come the start of next week, but thankfully we've made our way through that far. We finally knock out a John Herdman team in the Revolution. So it took a fair while, especially off the back of that penalty shootout, which went on for ages there in that second leg, but thankfully we knock out the Revolution and make our way through 2-1 there to the semi-finals of the Eastern Conference. We will take on Orlando City. Thankfully, of course, being the top seed, we get home advantage as we will for the rest of the playoffs, considering we also picked up the Supporters' Shield. So it does mean if we can beat Orlando, we'll get one of New York City in a potential Hudson River Derby or Atlanta United in the Eastern Conference Final, which will be our first chance at that trophy, actually our first chance at that trophy in club history as well. So hopefully can beat Orlando come the start of next week. It does mean that next week will still be the series. The week later, that's going to be when the journeyman will start, and there is only going to be, at the very most, 3 episodes of the series next week, because there's only going to be 3 games left in our season at the very most. There might be some weird scheduling that we do around that, depending on how long we do continue here with this Red Bulls team, but hopefully we can at least make our way through to the MLS Cup final, and if we do, we should be okay, because we're still yet to lose a game to a Western Conference team, so hopefully that'll continue if we make it through to an MLS Cup final, but thankfully get through that semi-final, and that's 2 weeks away, so it should mean that hopefully Facundo Molina might be back from that injury by then. To be fair, probably going to have to sit on the bench in the first couple of games, but he does come back for us, but still, that could be quite useful. To be fair, Brian Green did a really good job for us when we used him there in those couple of games. Didn't quite pay off in that penalty shootout, but still, he's done a really good job for us there when we've used him the last couple of years of the save that may be relegated to a squad player when Molina does come back for that semi-final. But that will do it for today's episode. As I said, it took a little bit longer than I would have liked off the back of that excruciatingly long penalty shootout there in the second leg, but thankfully we pick up a win in the third and go through 2-1 over the Revolution to a Eastern Conference semi against Orlando City. If you enjoyed that one, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well until the start of next week for that Eastern Conference semi, where hopefully we can pick up a win over Orlando City. Thank you very much for watching, keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.